How's it going, Laser Bruces? I'm Bobby Sixkilla and welcome back to Blake, the visual novel. We are now at Jonathan's house, our dad apparently, with Max, so that we can hack into the CCTV camera and find out who is breaking into our apartment, leaving large winged birds in it. Who knows if we're going to figure that out. Wow, this place is something else. Jonathan showed off his bookcase trick and Max was awestruck. I mean, I was too. Look at all these doohickeys. Good word, I'll save that one for later. Jonathan took out a little jot pad, pencil from his pocket and scribbled the word down. Make a note of the word doohickey. I like it. I'd like to use it more in conversation. Max and Blake looked at each other. Max, I understand that this is a rather unwanted request, bringing you here. But would you kindly not mention anything about this clandestine endeavour to any other person, please? Of course, Mr. Gourdain, I won't tell a soul. Here is my computer for you to work your magic on. One moment, whilst I grant you access to the system. Jonathan flipped through the jot pad again and entered the password into his computer. He wrote the password in his jot pad, yet he can hack. Wow, that's one Vin computer. Good thing it isn't old like your other whatchamacallits, otherwise this would be a challenging task. Max interlocked her fingers and flexed her hands backwards to make them click. Ooh, that was probably horrible to most of you. Let's do this. Max got to work on the computer. Never seen anything like this before. Looks like someone has encrypted the data to make it harder to hack. I'm gonna need some help with this. Blake, can you take a look and see if you can override the security add-on? Sure, I'll give it a go. It looks like binary code, Blake. Can you search for a binary translator on your phone and put in the numbers so we can find out the code to unlock this? On my phone? Search for a binary translator on your phone and put in the numbers. I don't have my phone here. Fuck, I'll go get my phone. Okay, I have my phone. This is going to take a little while to input though. What do we got? 0011, 0011. 0011 0010 0011 0001 0101 01 01 01 00 01 00 01 000111. Now this is quality narration. 0011 0010 and just, even though I'm done, just for fun, 001000100010. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. I just said a bunch of 3 0 1s and 0s. 321 tag 2? Looks like that needs to be an uppercase. No probs. Great, we're in. Nice one. The footage unlocked and started to play. Forward to the evening. All three were closely leaning toward the screen, eager to see what would appear. This footage showed Chris standing outside Blake's door just after 11 PM. Huh? This can't be. Chris took out his phone and stared down at it. The image went black. What? Someone wiped the rest of the footage. Chris? Both Blake and Jonathan were quiet. So, was that everything you needed, or...? Yes, sorry. This just wasn't what we expected to see. Thanks, Max. Thank you for your help on this. We both really appreciate it. Thank you again for your assistance here. You've done a fine job. Nick is out front and will take you home safely now. Wait, who's Nick? Oh, sorry, that's the name of my car. You named your car? Well, I've had him for a few years now and he's very reliable. I suppose I get attached to things that are around me for a while. They said their goodbyes and Max left, leaving Blake and Jonathan. 321 tag 2. It's gotta be a code for something. It's been put there on purpose, but a code for what? Maybe a city code? No, a lock somewhere perhaps. Blake shrugged with no answer to give. Jonathan pointed up to the sky in a determined gesture. No matter, we'll figure this out in time. So what do we do about Chris? Well, I can't say I'm too happy with the results. We must tread carefully here. It greatly disappoints me to find Chris was somehow been mixed up in all this. I didn't expect it to be him. It isn't. Never settle for the first answer you receive. We cannot presume that the puzzle is complete when we don't know how many pieces there are. I must recall your HG devices and postpone the project until further notice whilst this is under our investigation. It is a baneful irony that even once I'm in possession of Chris's HG device, I will not be able to check the activity due to the secure demeanour of the machinery. I think it would be best to talk to Chris about what we've just witnessed and find out what he was doing. Good idea. I'd like to see what he has to say about this. The day has dragged and felt longer than ever. Time to relax. News on, shoes off, couch, non-drugged blue beard in hand. He hoped. Adjusting himself slowly towards the screen, Blake felt a pang of horror slither through his veins. On the monitor was a man sitting at a desk, taking notes and staring. No studying, gibbered Blake's mind. In the top right-hand corner was a small image which mirrored Blake. He cautiously edged closer for a clearer view. What the... Is that Chris there? The man on the screen couldn't possibly be studying him. It must be part of the program or an error with the station. But this is unlike any show Blake had seen before, and why was his own image showing in the corner? Was this stranger taking notes on him? Blake slowly waved his hand to one side and the image of him copied. The man on the screen started to look worried and confused. It became paramount for Blake to capture what was happening. What if this is connected to what had been happening recently? Without evidence, he'd be incapable of proving it. Blake held up the phone from his trouser pocket and took a picture of the man on the E-screen. Immediately, the man staring back at him became panic-stricken and started desperately pressing buttons. When that failed, he shouted for someone, however no sound emanated from the speakers. Before Blake could get his phone to record the events, another man emerged from outside the periphery. Instant cut-off and the scene went back to the news. What? Are we on the Truman Show here? Is this the Truman Show? What the fuck just happened here? The experience was more than enough to make even the sturdiest of people crumble into a paranoid tin hat wearing conspiracist. Blake hurriedly switched the power off before unplugging every single electrical device he could find within the flat. I mean, your dad did say that everything we do, we're being fucking recorded. Shirt buttoned, fly done up. Oh, better than me most of the time. Sunglasses and headphones on, blood pumping, music to start the day. There was nothing better. The sky was a fresh blue, no clouds in sight. This is a rare luxury in the city of New Stone. Blake walked around the outside of the park and it was a great day for it. To the right, a silver car was sat waiting. The car plate 321 tagged 2. He recognized it from somewhere. It was the code they got from the CCTV camera. He had to know if they were connected. Blake peered into the car to catch a glimpse of the driver. Out of nowhere, he felt a needle-like sting penetrate the small of his back, in that awkward place where it was difficult to reach. Almost immediately, he began to find it hard to breathe, and light-headed dizziness took over. Someone was here watching him. They knew he was onto them and getting close to the truth. They must have drugged him with a needle or a dart. He scanned the area. Lots of people on their morning commute, but none who looked suspicious. Fumbling for his phone to call Jonathan, he began to wheeze harder. He has to pick up. He couldn't tell if anyone could hear him, but he could make out a figure as they rapidly approached him. Jonathan, someone poisoned. Darkness claimed him. Sterile white light brought Blake back as he awakened in the hospital. Jonathan helped Blake check out and assisted him into the car. He didn't look worried. In fact, he looked a little amused. How old are you? What? 31? I haven't lost my memory. Yes, so in your 31 years on this planet, have you not once been stung by a bee? Rubbing his head, Blake seemed a little dazed, but not too bothered. He had an anaphylactic reaction. Likely it wasn't too severe, and there was a first aid officer in the park who administered an immunization vaccine. So you'll be completely dandy from here on out. No wonder I'm buzzing, huh? Well, apart from the cheesy jokes, he seemed back to normal. Starting to feel more with it, Blake remembered what he'd been doing before the sting. The car! There was a silver car on my way to work. The plate was 321 tag 2. It can't have just been a coincidence. You're right. We knew it had to mean something. And I caught a glimpse of the driver. He looked pretty rough. Big scar down one side of his face. We should wait in the same location and time tomorrow. I was about to suggest the same. In the interim, I'll investigate the plate and brief you on my findings tomorrow. Anyway, let's get you back home. No, I've got work to do. Are you sure you're feeling up to it? Yeah, I'm all good. Alright then. On the drive to work, Blake caught Jonathan up on what had happened to his E-screen. Half an hour into his work, Blake heard a tap as something hit the back of his computer screen. He peered round behind it. Orla was peeping out from the side of his desk, and his manky, chewed pen was on the ground by Blake's desk, reminding him of the madness that had been following him around lately. Is it true you were late because you were stung by a bee? He chose to ignore Orla's question. Orla continued to stare at him until he couldn't take it anymore. Why does it matter? Have you seriously never been immunized before? Oh, 3 questions in a row. You know what that means? Question match. What is a question match? You know, And you have to keep asking questions. Whoever breaks the chain loses. Sounds easy. Want to bet? Let's go. Do you want to go first? It's okay, you go first. Oof, she got you there, buddy. Oldest trick in the book. Better luck next time, sweets. Well, I didn't know we'd started. Max gave a cheeky wink and Lee laughed a little. A hint of nervousness was there, but he did well to try and hide it. Lee hurriedly looked back down at his computer, hoping no one would notice his face, going a light shade of red. Blake, Orlo, your turn. Rules. No one-word answers, no repeating, no statements posing against questions, i.e., I don't know. Judge, me, gets the final say. Go. Blake thought carefully about his choice of words. Is nothing ever secret in this office? Why? But I see you hiding from us, mystery guy. Are you sure you'd want to know? If I was? Any reason I wouldn't? Are you sure? You gave it a great try, but you lose. No one ever wins against me. Orlo flexed his bicep and winked. You two are insanely competitive. But fun. Anyway, you could have taken my eye out with that germ-riddled pen of yours. Doesn't matter, you got a spare one. Blake couldn't help but let a smile escape the corner of his lips as he shook his head at the two jokesters. Max and Orlo chuckled and snorted, escalating each other's laughter until they all laughed out. Blake checked his phone. From Eveningland Corp Limited. Dear customer, please accept this email as a formal apology from Eveningland Corp for the event that took place on the 30th of March. We would like to clarify to our customers that in a technical error, a researcher calculating live figures inadvertently streamed a live feed which launched a visual connection to all affected Tronic e-screens in the New Stone vicinity. We're offering a 10% discount on all Tronic products to those affected as compensation for the incident. The rest included small print which advised the puny offer was available for the next 10 days. Not that Blake was remotely roped in by it. Now there was proof that this random event was unrelated to the real problems at hand. Isn't it strange how you can only get immunized when you're having a bad reaction to something? It's just a shame that there isn't an immunizer for all your bad jokes. Oof. Max hacks, murked by Team Killer Orlo. You don't have to be so histamine about it. Oh, it hurts. At the moment, Blake received a notification on his computer to return his HG device to Jonathan's office. He went to his locker and opened it. It's gone. We are fucked. Blake peered into the room from the side of the door to check if Jonathan was alone and not on call. And he saw Chris and Jonathan talking. I'm so sorry, Jonathan. I really don't know where it's gone. You swear you have no idea, Cal? Who's Cal? Blake thought. My whole life is indebted to you. I have no reason to upset that balance. You know that. What about last week? What were you doing at my son's flat in the early hours of the morning? Last week after the work drinks, I got a weird message from him asking if I can come and help him. When I got there, he messaged me saying that he'd sorted it, whatever it was. I see. Blake stepped into the room, pulling the handle to purposely make noise and get their attention as he walked in. Blake, do you have the HG device? I don't, it's not in my locker. So that makes the both of you... Jonathan sighed and then smiled and nodded to Chris. Chris, that's all I wanted to ask you, and I apologize if I seemed intrusive. It's not a problem. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know. Thank you. Jonathan walked Chris to the office door, closing it once the gargantuan figure had left. It was only you and I who knew my intentions to remove the HG devices, or so I thought. But to take both? This is rather troublesome indeed. This could mean we're possibly dealing with more than one person here. For now, finding some evidence of the perpetrator or perpetrators is most pertinent. I'm going to need Lee to help me with this. Would you mind kindly retrieving Lee from the reception area for me? How do you know he's not at his desk? Jonathan chuckled. It's only a hunch, but a most likely one. I often find him down there talking to Andy at reception. I have no idea what they need to talk about, but if you find out, I'd love to know. Andy was sat at the front desk, unexpectedly alone. Hey man, have you seen Lee around anywhere? I got Jonathan looking for him. Oh, no problem. He's just in my quarters. I'll go get him. Blake raised a brow and Andy disappeared into the small room behind the desk. The door opened a few moments later and Lee came rushing out. Hey, I hear Jonathan's asking for me. Blake looked at Lee curiously and then at the door. What's happening in there? Oh yeah, I was just trying to help Andy with fixing his e-screen. If it's broken, I'm sure Jonathan can get him a new one. No, it's okay. Lee scratched the back of his neck and looked uncomfortable. It's all good. Jonathan just wanted your help with something in the office. Sure, no worries. I'll go right away. He smiled and waved to Andy as he left. Oh, that was easy enough. Not feeling up to cooking, Blake decided to stop by Saucy Mama's to pick up something to eat. Blake spotted Max sitting alone. Go and say hi. Blake leaned to the side and put his hand up to catch Max's eye. Hey Max. Ask if she's waiting for someone? Are you waiting for someone? No, I'm just here on my own, but you're welcome to join me if you like. He feigned a smile. There was no reason for him to tell Max what was going on. Going to Orlo's tonight to eradicate the infestation of the living dead. You want in? She was talking like talking video game language already. The idea of playing games with Max and Orlo felt like it could be a distraction, but he wasn't sure that's what he needed right now. Not tonight, but another time. Boop. Why can't I get you 2 little sweet tarts? Do you want another tea or anything to eat? Go on then, I'll have another cup. And a slice of that banana bread if you have any left. I'll have peanut butter toast, a pizza cake, and a Bluebeard, please. That comes to 52 bits. Are you paying separately or together? I'll get this. No, thanks. Blake held out his phone for her to scan. All done, your order's coming right up. Did she call us sweethearts? No, I think it was sweet tarts. You know, like sweetie pie, but a tart. That's not a thing though. Maybe it is here. Want me to ask her? No! Max leaned in and touched Blake's forearm. Don't do it. Okay, you have my word. Banana bread, huh? Nice choice. I think I might be a bit like banana bread. Easy to digest, not too sickly. Some people love it, some people think it's gross. Sweet enough, and bananas. She pulled a silly face and then smiled. Yeah, banana bread's great. I'm in the I like banana bread a lot category, but banana cake is even better. Man, banana cake. Damn. Smooth. Why, thank you, Blake Gourdane. For a moment she pulled a horrified face. Blake imagined it was the kind of face she'd pull if she walked in on Orlo naked. I'm sorry, I didn't think there. Are you planning to go by that name? I'm guessing everyone knows Anna. I haven't really thought about it, but if I want in on the inheritance, I suppose I might have to. He pulled a playfully menacing face which made Max chuckle. Ha! You kill me, Blake. You're a funny guy. She beamed and smiled softly. You've changed. Yeah? In a good way, I mean. You must have really turned your world upside down when Jonathan told you he's your dad. Can't imagine what that's like. Yeah, things have been a little crazy. How did he tell you? I don't imagine he invited you to a meeting and then just announced it to you in the office. No, he knew the office wasn't the right place. I met up with him here, actually. He was going to tell me, but something came up and he helped me out. And when I think back, it makes sense that why he was so super eager to help. Later that day, he was all, Blake, I am your father, or something to that effect. I can't remember the exact words he used. Max smiled. That's a great impression. Blake chuckled as the server arrived doing an impressive balancing act of cups and plates. Help her with the plates. I thank you, honey cake, but I got this. Just press the button if you need anything, lovelies. That was kind of you to offer to help her. Conversation died down as Max's eyes transfixed on the banana bread. Is something wrong with it? No, it's just that I'm watching what I eat at the moment. It was hard for Blake not to choke on the Bluebeard he sipped one moment before, but he managed to force it down his gullet without it going down the wrong way. His chest bobbed up and down as he laughed without audio and shook his head. He got me. How'd he come up with them so fast? Huh, I don't know, I guess there's just something very addictive about seeing people smile. Buttered toast with a healthier slather of peanut butter on it. Slightly burnt underneath, but still hot. Sat on a warm plate in front of Blake. He took the knife and cut it down the middle as his company observed. That's an unusual way to do it. Picking up one half of the toast and eyeing it, Blake gave his reasoning for the precision. Perfect symmetry. I've always thought that cutting it the other way would be cutting it from the side. That to me is weird. Both enjoyed their food. Blake watched the people around them and their nuances. Max shot out her phone to get her fix. Mouthful of food, she rushedly chewed to say something. Someone on the archives has claimed that Kill VR killed an innocent, and they have proof. Well, it could be true. She placed her phone back down on the table. I don't know how I feel about this. Surely it isn't true. I guess it depends on what the proof is. Then again, if you're not given the full story, you can have proof of something and still not have the truth. It's starting to sound like Jonathan. I saw a new documentary last night and I just can't imagine Kill VR deviating from their morals. So you think your documentary is reliable? Let's have a look. A few searches later and Blake had found out the name of the production company on his phone. It says here the production company, Eveningland Entertainments, are the largest shareholders of Clothes X. And we all know that Clothes X are the primary sponsors for the Kill VR brand image. Their job is to make Kill VR look good. Great, if not awesome. Yeah right, I guess only time will tell. They talked some more and then headed their separate ways for the night. The next morning, Jonathan and Blake had an early morning stakeout. Done a little digging into this car plate. Really? Did you find anything? Jonathan took out the jot pad from his breast pocket and flipped a few pages. The car is registered to a... flip, flip, flip. Mr. Trout, and the registered address is in this town. However, I checked the address, and the property belongs to a Mr. and Mrs. Brown in a highly affluent part of Newston. Admittedly, I could be wrong, but this looks more like a fake address. It seems that whoever sent you the email has coaxed you down a rather recondite rabbit hole. Blake took the reins and conducted a quick search through his phone. Tap, tap, huff, tap. Your hunch looks spot on. Miss Brown has an Image Nation account. You can see numerous pictures of her husband's topiary art on there. But have a look at this one in particular. Blake showed Jonathan the image. It showed Mr. and Mrs. Brown smiling in front of a large angel topiary. In the description it said, "A little slice of heaven. Oz's biggest national passion project at home. Hashtag top topiary, hashtag hedgie art, hashtag garden angel." I knew it was Australian. I had a feeling from the first episode. Knew it. He scrolled when they were talking about barbecues and shit. Whenever that was. Knew it. He scrolled down to another image, which showed a gardening charity event Mr. Brown had recently organised and raised a bunch of bits for. Oz Brown isn't our guy. That's not the man I saw in the car. He's not in any of these pictures. Oh. I still think it's Australian. You're getting the hang of this detective work very well. I need to know who's behind this. I can't help but feel that there's something we've overlooked. Well, the truth can't hide forever. So I guess this means this guy doesn't always take the same route, or maybe works alternate hours, or yesterday was just a complete coincidence. Might not even been the car plate. Sorry I dragged you out this morning. It's fine. It was great sitting in the car just watching the world go by, like a real stakeout. We both just have to be vigilant. Something on your mind? I didn't tell anyone, but it seems that some people in the office might know I'm your son. I suppose that was always likely to happen. I'm rather segregated from most of the office, but I imagine it's getting around that I'm your father affects you. I don't mind people knowing. I'm not really bothered by it. I'm not hiding anything. Jonathan let a smile slip. Neither am I, son. Blake checked his phone. From Blake. Meet me tomorrow outside the abandoned computer store at 6 PM. Alone. This message contains two attachments. Trout.jpg, Sam.jpg. He showed this message to Jonathan. This one says it's from me. And there are two images attached. Do you think that we can safely open them? Trout. Mr. Trout. Let's take every precaution. Maxine would be best for this. He took out Maxine and plugged it directly into the charging port of Blake's phone and extracted the file. It took minutes for Jonathan to open the images that had been attached to the email. The first image? The square-faced, thin-lipped, middle-aged man who wore a scruffy-looking, dirty brown jacket. He looked like a dodgy market tech trader who sold faulty 3D printers. Blake studied his face. He's the one who was in the car. I was expecting a picture of craniate, gill-bearing freshwater Pisces. This is him, the guy I saw in the car. He doesn't look like good news if you ask me. You can't judge people by their looks. The second image. It's that guy. The man in the second attachment looked familiar, but Blake couldn't think where from. From the TV. Looks like he's been beaten to shit though. Taking out his phone, he started up the What's It app, took a picture of the image from Jonathan's computer screen and waited for the app to load with results from the web. A news article came up, a face recognition match. It was Sam Stevens. The man who had been on the news was a missing person last week. He hadn't recognized him in the attachment due to the stubble and bedraggled look compared to the picture shown in the news reports. Nerves suddenly bolted down through Blake's body as the idea of someone trying to frame him for this lit up in his mind. He seriously hoped that the Owl incident was an unparalleled coincidence, and maybe the person wanted Blake to help them find Sam. Do you think this ruffian Trout is the man who kidnapped Sam Stevens? He caught himself using one of Jonathan's weird words and cringed. There's a picture on the wall in both images and they match. This Trout fellow was certainly involved somehow. What has this all got to do with me? I've never met either of these people before. Yes, why tell you this information and why now? It is with a deep-seated feeling of unrest that I say this, but I think whoever they are, they're inviting you to play mind games. So far they have coerced you into an involvement of their misdeeds, trespassed onto your online ID and taunted you through the means of poetry. None of the aforementioned events resemble any iota of benevolent impulsion. You're right, I think, but I can't just ignore the fact that someone knows where Sam Stevens is. Then I'll go with you. You can't, it says I have to go alone, and I can't let you put yourself in danger. We don't know how many people are involved in this. It's a public place, I'll be okay, I'm sure. Acknowledged, but any worries of a misadventure, and you message me right away and I'll be there. Got it. Oh, and put my car on speed dial. I'll have it parked near the area, just in case you need a quick getaway for any reason. Good idea. Thanks. A tired Blake sat back on the sofa and enjoyed a cold Bluebeard, E-screen on. It was already Thursday. The day seemed to all meld into one. Recent days had been so eventful. Too eventful. The cryptic messages, the disturbing events, and most importantly his reunion with his dad, which had made him feel like he'd found a part of himself again. Many hours passed and Blake slept like what could only be explained as a baby log. The chiming persistence of his phone awoke him. It was 1 PM. All the strange occurrences had left him weary. 6 PM came around quickly. Blake filled his spare time with a visit to the communal gym in his complex, shower and lunch before leaving. No one there on the corner. Unvexed, he decided to give it a while, just on the off chance. Trying to avoid eye contact, he spotted Harry walking in his direction. As she got closer, he realized that it was inevitable that they would exchange niceties. Greeted with a hug, Blake became concerned that she might hang around, and this wasn't a good time. Hiya, I'm so excited that we're going to the cinema. I was thinking we could go see Gloomy Night. It was just a coincidence she'd come down the road. She fully expected Blake to be there. It was like she knew she was meeting up with him, and they'd made plans. Was he being fucked with again? Most likely. This isn't a new one though. They're doing a special showing of the original remake. The original remake? How was such an abomination allowed to exist? She wanted to go see that terrible, moody-looking drama franchise about a Yeti that falls for a teenage girl. No surprise there. He'd never arranged to meet her, but assumed a message had somehow been sent to her in his name. He needed to find out how and why, without sounding like he'd lost his mind. So, what were you doing when we arranged to meet? My work, of course. Harry was unfazed by the mini-interrogation, clearly too preoccupied with excitement about the movie, and now Blake knew his work email had somehow been hacked. This is getting out of hand fast, but he had to go along with it for the time being. Let's go. After this, we can go to Saucy Mama's for Death by Chocolate. Wait, did you just hear something? Yeah, it came from over there in the forest. Can you go have a look? Okay, for you. I'll double check. Blake rolled his eyes. The misuse of the expression double check aggravated him. Quick, we need to leave. Okay, just let me grab my things. We don't have time. Why doesn't he just tell her what she saw? He doesn't have time, plus the filmmakers don't need to repeat what they just seen. We can assume that happens off screen. She's really into this movie, Blake thought. I'm going to the plumber. Oh, would you mind getting me some Sparkle Nova candy while you're out there? Sure. They don't have it here though. You'll have to go over the road to get some. Okay. Blake exited the screening, took a leak, and then instead of wasting part of his life, he stood outside for some fresh air. It was chucking buckets outside. Blake stood under cover so he could check his phone. The curtain of water unveiled a silver car waiting in the taxi lane, just steps away from the front door. It looked like the one he saw in the park. Yes, it was Trout. He was a taxi assistant? It wasn't obvious looking at the car that it was a taxi, although most of them weren't. Blake knew he'd have to follow the car and see where it went. He shared his location to Jonathan's car and summoned it. Text Harry to let her know that you have to go. Blake decided to be best to let Harry know an emergency came up and that he needed to leave immediately. As he was writing his message, Harry stepped outside. Blake, you okay? Harry, look, something has come up and I need to go now. I'll come with you. Where are we going? No, you can't come with me. Why not? You didn't tell me where you're going. Blake watched as a woman ran up to the taxi and jumped in. They were about to leave. He had to act now. Jonathan's car showed up moments later. He shielded himself from the rain with his coat and made a run for the car's shelter. Harry followed. So, I can come with you? No! He jumped in the car and Harry got in the back. I won't be any trouble. Trout's car started to pull away. Harry, you can't come with me. This isn't... I'm not getting out unless you tell me why you're leaving, and where to. I have to follow someone. Blake couldn't leave it any longer, otherwise the car would go out of sight. He released an edge. He released a sigh. I don't know what that word was. Am I really gonna do this? Do what? Look, just try to be quiet and not touch anything. Well, that's not very welcoming. I didn't ask you to come along. Blake selected rain mode, and the water on the car windows instantly dispersed into tiny droplets before evaporating into nothing. Manual mode selected. It was needed in order for Blake to tail behind without being seen, by keeping a car between them the whole journey. Following the car for half an... They need to add a follow that car mode on self-driving cars. Someone email Tesla about that, it's really important. Following the car for half an hour, they headed into Newston. The car stopped outside a large house and the woman jumped out. She'd been let out of the car. That was a good sign. Who's she? I don't know. Then why did you follow her here? We're not, we're following the driver. Oh. Are you an undercover cop or something? No, it's a long story. I just need to know where he's going. The car started on its way again. The sun had retreated, so Blake was hoping Trout would finish his shift, otherwise this would go on all night. All the anticipation and waiting was giving him a headache, but it didn't deter him. Patience paid off after another 45 minutes. They'd ended up west, in the decrepit part of Newston, or as they called it here, Noosetown. Crime was rife, femme fatales and prostitutes aplenty, and the tech was behind the times. That's the worst part. Blake considered that Jonathan probably acquired... The internet was slow as fuck. Blake considered that Jonathan probably acquired some of his more vintage contraptions and items from this part of town, but couldn't imagine him having any connection to the area. They arrived at the entrance of the docks, where Trout exited his car. Blake found a hill behind the docks to park on and peered down to observe. Trout made his way to the entrance of the warehouse. This is where he was residing. Initially, Blake's instinct was to scope out the area, take his time and carefully plan his next move, but time was of the essence. Maybe Sam was in there. Stay here, I need to go check this out, I won't be long. Okay. I mean, this could be dangerous. If I'm not back in 30 minutes, call the police and don't leave the car. Got it? Got it. I mean, she could be useful. Blake clenched his fists. His heart was pounding just as hard as he envisioned knocking on that door. He took a deep breath and tried to remain calm as he approached the warehouse. The door opened before Blake had the chance to announce his presence. Trout looked behind Blake cautiously, as if to check no one was watching. Whatever unscrupulous activities he'd been involved in, and witnessed in his lifetime, they'd taken their toll. His eyes were aged and tired. He looked like a man with very little patience. He stared at Blake, got out his phone, held it up beside him, looked at a picture on the screen, then glanced at Blake again. You're the UVA guy, ain't you? He told you you'd be coming here. His voice reminded Blake of the crunching noise of gravel underneath a slow-moving truck. Trout gave an eyes-lowered, knowing look, prodded his temple, and then pointed at Blake. What? None of this made sense. With his mouth slightly agape, Trout's tongue ran slowly across the back of his lower teeth, like a cobra enticing its prey to the snake bit. He uttered, "Come in." The back of Blake's neck tensed up. Taking in a deep breath, he tried to zen as much as he could. And with that, we're going to wrap this episode up here, because we're out of time for today, but I have no idea what's going on. But I am very excited to find out. And I don't know how what choices that I've made up to this point have altered things, but because I've only made little decisions, right, that didn't really matter, or at least they didn't seem to. Anyway, we'll see. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.